I am so excited for you guys to listen to this episode of Beneath the Label. I had Tanner Gibb from our R&D team with us on here, and we are talking about one of my very favorite products, R-Square Day and Night. And you are going to really want to hear the 3 key benefits that day does and the benefits that the night product does. It is such a great one. Buckle up, get ready to listen to this episode of Beneath the Label. Welcome to this episode of the podcast. You guys, I am so excited about this episode of Beneath the Label because Tanner Gibb is here with me, and we are going to talk about what is one of my very, very favorite products that we have at Pharmanex. We are going to talk about R-Square Day, or Vitality, as we know it in the US market, and R-Square Night. And Tanner, you know, I was talking to you about this before. I have not gone off of this product since we launched this. Gosh, this was
2011.
I was going to say it's been like 15-ish years. So 2011 is when we launched Vitality. Did we launch both of them at the same time?
No, R-Square Night was launched in 2013.
Okay. I was thinking that we just launched the Vitality at the first. So for 2 years, we just had this one. It's a lot of pills. It is. I take 6 pills a day, but it is worth it for me.
Well, that's the recommended dose.
Yeah.
And the reason it's the recommended dose is some of the nutrients, they just take up enough space. So to get the effective dose, we had to pack it into 6 capsules, and that's the way to get the best results.
And there's only 3 key ingredients in it, right?
Yep. And we can talk about those.
We're going to.
CS4,
Cordyceps,
pomegranate, and ginseng.
Okay. Let's do the easy ones first. Ginseng. It's in there for immediate energy. What is the benefit of ginseng? Maybe that's not the easy one. I just pretended like that was the easy one first.
Well, no, they're all easy.
For you.
But, I mean, maybe we should back up before we get into each individual ingredient.
Okay, I just get so excited. Let's talk about why we created Vitality, right?
Yeah, because it's one of the first signs of aging. I think you can attest to this. Yeah. I can attest to this, right? One of the things we see on the outside is lines of wrinkles. Yeah. One of the things we feel on the inside is a lack of energy or vitality.
Yeah.
But when we talk about vitality, it's more than just physical energy. There are 3 dimensions to it, right? We have the physical energy.
Right.
So energy we need to talk and walk and
just proceed through the day,
swim and do sports and do all the things we need. But we also forget sometimes about the mental acuity or the mental clarity portion of it.
Right. Okay.
When you think about energy, your brain.
Well, and when you think about aging too and energy. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, your brain, it's only 2% of your body weight, but it's been studied to use about 20 up to 25% of your body's total energy.
Okay.
So you need good energy to support physical stuff and the mental acuity and clarity. And then the sexual health benefits. So vitality is those 3 key dimensions.
Perfect. Okay. And Vitality wasn't our first AgeLOC supplement, was it? Or was this our first AgeLOC supplement?
This was our first one. We had skincare products that came out addressing the sources of aging. And in fact, the story behind this is that the nutrition side was getting some pressure saying, hey, the skincare side got to the sources of aging.
Yeah.
What are we doing with nutrition? And we were looking around at some of the data and the literature and trying to explore different ways of how do we get to the source. And we came upon this company called LifeGen Technologies.
Right. Okay.
That was doing a lot of research on anti-aging and longevity and gene expression. And it wasn't until they published a paper looking at a nutraceutical and its ability to actually change or shift gene expression patterns back to a more youthful state. And when that happened, Joe Chang called these scientists out from LifeGen and said, hey, we have to meet because we're experts on nutraceuticals. You're experts on gene expression. And this is a way for us to actually test and screen different ingredients that we're experts in and say, hey, can they actually change gene expression patterns inside of the body?
And they were the experts in showing gene expression.
Exactly.
And okay, so I think I had forgotten that this was our first product that we did with AgeLOC and where we truly were looking at anti-aging and gene expression, which I feel like that's such a part of our DNA at this point but I mean, 2011 was a long time ago. We were pioneers in this with LifeGen.
Yeah. And both you and me, we were pretty young back then, right? I mean, this is a long time ago, but it was the beginning of, because there's a lot of stuff in the field of, hey, how do we just target the signs and the symptoms, right?
Right,
I mean, if you have lines and wrinkles, let's just cover them up. Or if you lack energy, let's give you a whole bunch of sugar and caffeine and jack people up where they have the spike and the crash, right? We could do that. But when it comes to the sources of aging, you look at a cellular level, and maybe we need to back up and explain the biology of gene expression for those who don't know.
Yes, let's do.
So inside of our cells, we have DNA.
Right.
That's your genetic blueprint.
Yeah.
Segments of those DNA is what we call genes.
Okay.
When genes are actually active in doing their role, that's when they are expressed. And what happens with aging is that there are groups of genes that change in their expression patterns. So let's say, for example, we have a youthful gene expression pattern related to mitochondria, which we'll get to with vitality, right? This is your panel. And then we have an older gene expression panel, and it looks very different. And then with AgeLOC technology, we can actually screen and test for different ingredients to say, hey, what are the ingredients that are going to shift those older gene expression patterns back to a more youthful state? And what's so cool about gene expression...
But it's not as simple as an on-off switch.
No, it's not on-off. It's more of kind of a fine-tuning process.
Okay.
Where over time, and we don't need studies to prove this, but look, as we get older, we lose energy, we lose vitality, right?
Yeah.
It's common sense, but there's also studies that prove that. And in terms of looking at the source, we know that mitochondria, which is another technical term, but they're just little powerhouses inside of our cell. I was going to
say, I believe in college biology, I learned the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Yes. So it's a little powerhouse. It's a little plant that produces cellular energy called ATP. And the problem with aging is that the function of our mitochondria declines.
Okay.
And the number of mitochondria we have goes down as well.
So not only do we have less, they're functioning on a lower scale.
Yeah, on a lower scale.
Okay.
And then that translates into people feeling worse. They have less overall vitality.
Because of the mitochondria primarily.
Exactly.
Okay.
And in our research, we identified a handful of genes. Now, inside of our cells, we have about 20,000+ genes. And those same genes are in every cell type throughout the body.
Okay.
But the gene expression patterns are going to be different in your heart cell versus your muscle cell or your brain cell or your liver cell or your kidney cell, et cetera, right? It gets complicated.
Well, because the body is incredible. Like, it's incredible. And science is incredible to learn this. Like that, it gets complicated and my mind gets blown, but we're learning so much all the time.
We are learning
which
so much.
Is amazing. It is amazing.
And what's so cool about this science is that we know that gene expression is changing every single day, right? From our diet, our lifestyle, our stress, our sleep, our exercise, all of these things are doing that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what's so cool about AgeLOC and our ability to actually measure gene expression is we can see how powerful nutrition is, and we can measure different nutraceuticals to say, hey, what are the ones that are going to change X, Y, and Z variables, right?
And a nutraceutical is a specific ingredient, or is it a combination of ingredients? When you say nutraceutical?
It's a fancy word for a nutrient.
Okay.
But it kind of adds to it in that there's testing, there's research, there's studies that back up the specific effect of those nutrients.
Okay. Which is great. I love that. Okay. Now we've got the basics of gene expression and AgeLOC and where we were as a company at the time with Pharmanex and our scientists and LifeGen and their scientists and the coming together, which this is their beautiful baby, our beautiful baby, which is R² Day Vitality, the first of its kind at Nu Skin, the AgeLOC nutritional product. Okay. Now, can we talk about the ingredients in it?
Please.
Because I'm so excited about it. I'm not kidding. I love this product. Now, I remember when we were first talking about it, it was that physical energy that for me, as a runner and as an aging runner now, I was like, sign me up. I need any additional help I can get. I didn't even care about the other two benefits because I was so drawn to having more physical energy, which was the cordyceps, right? And I remember hearing all about it. And it's a mushroom from China. And that's about all I can remember.
Yes, keep going. You're doing great. No, this is great. We need to switch places. Yeah. So cordyceps sinensis.
I'm like, it's like I'm giving a presentation to my professor right now, and I'm like, am I right? Am I right? But I know you'll call me on it when I miss it.
You're absolutely right. So we want to break down these ingredients, and we can begin with the cordyceps sinensis CS4.
Okay.
So it is a mushroom, and the raw wild type is actually very rare, and it's quite expensive. And so cordyceps sinensis CS4 is actually a fermentation product where you take the primary fungal strain called P. hepiali Chen, say that 10 times fast, you throw it in a broth with certain nutrients, and it actually grows into the same properties of the wild type cordyceps sinensis.
So we don't have to be picking mushrooms for this because we know how it created that strain of fungus.
Yes. That's what a mushroom is.
I'm here for it.
But it's not like you're picking the wild type, right? It's actually fermented, so it's in a controlled condition.
Yeah.
And we do testing on it to make sure that it's safe, that it's pure. And we also do testing to confirm that some of the ingredients or the active compounds are similar to what you would find in the wild raw mushroom.
Okay.
And we have a number of different clinical studies that back it up. Awesome. So the reason you standardize the CS4 is to make sure you get consistent quality batch to batch. Because with fermentation, right, it could vary a little bit. Right. That's why you have the testing to make sure you get the same results. Because when you buy Vitality, we want you to get the same benefits batch after batch after batch.
Yeah. Okay, so then what is the benefit of that in there? How does it help with, because that one helps with physical energy?
Yes, primarily
or maybe
with physical
it does all
energy.
3 of them. I don't know.
It does enhance all 3 of them.
Okay.
But the physical energy is going to be the main thing it's studied for. The CS4 studied to, and maybe the best way to explain this is it helps to increase that baseline energy level. So unlike before, it's not a stimulant, right? So it's not like you take it and then all of a sudden the next day you're like, okay, I'm ready to go run a marathon, right?
Yeah.
It's going to take weeks. And most of the studies show that it takes about 6 weeks to begin to notice an effect.
Okay.
My recommendation for anyone on Vitality is give it a minimum of 3 months.
Okay.
And track your progress with energy. But that's kind of that steady increase in baseline energy over time. That's what you're going to see from the cordyceps sinensis.
Yeah, I remember that it was like, you don't feel it as soon as you go on it. It takes a while. And I'm too scared to go off of it to know how long it takes for you to stop feeling it.
Well, people have done that. And in fact, okay, random story here, but when I was in the call center over 10 years ago, I was in product support taking people's calls. There was a lady who called in one day and she was like, hey, Tanner, I see these special AgeLOC ingredients in AgeLOC Vitality. I can see it's this cordyceps, it's this ginseng, it's this pomegranate. And guess what? I can go get these ingredients at a health food store and save some money. And I was like, well, go ahead. You're probably not going to feel the same as you do on our product because the difference is in the details, right? Our cordyceps is fermented. It has the same active ingredients. We do the testing on it. Same thing with the pomegranate. It's a whole food pomegranate extract that is standardized to these gallic acid components, which are active ingredients inside of the whole pomegranate. And then ginseng as well is standardized to these ginsenosides that we'll get into. But nonetheless, the difference there is in these details with the ingredients and the amounts that we put into the product.
Because it's the full formulation,
It is
right?
the full formulation.
Yeah.
And not all raw ingredients are created the same way. This is why we have a success quality process, right? This is why we select good quality ingredients. We get them from good sources, right? We look at specifications. We standardize to active components where applicable.
Yeah.
All right? We're making sure that they're safe and that we do the substantiation to make sure that we can back up what we actually say. Anyway, long story short, this lady's like, okay, I'm going to go do it. I'm like, okay, but come back and report to me and say how you feel. And she came back, a few weeks later and she's like, Tanner, you're right. And I was like, okay, that feels so good.
I've been waiting for this moment.
But the thing is, that's why we have this success quality process. And we've actually done genetic testing on our cordyceps sinensis CS4 and compared different vendors and different sources, showing that there's wide variation in the types of components that are found in ingredients that proclaim to be the same, but on the details, they're actually quite different.
I love that. And so it's the ingredients that are so specific. And then our formulation was clinically studied as these amounts put together in our genetic testing, right? It's not just take these 3 ingredients. I'm sure that it's the amount of each ingredient that you're getting as well.
Exactly. And our screening process to be able to get these ingredients is very different. So we can go to the literature, and anyone can, Of course, if you can interpret the literature, that's another story. But
Yeah.
anyone can go to the literature and say, hey, what are good ingredients for physical energy and vitality? Well, that's one way to formulate. This way is very, very different. And in fact, we were surprised when we looked at some of the gene expression data with pomegranate. Pomegranate had incredible gene expression patterns, especially in the brain,
Okay.
to kind of shift some of those related to the mental clarity in the mitochondria. We looked at blueberry. We looked at a lot of other ingredients that we thought would actually perform better. But in reality, this is why you do a screening process. And this is why looking at the source allows you to screen ingredients and make formulas that no one else is going to do.
Interesting. So I love that. Okay. So the pomegranate has a really good mental acuity then for that one. And the ginseng, it kind of covers all three as well.
It kind of covers all three. You get a little physical energy, you get some mental clarity, and you get the sexual health benefits as well. That to me just kind of sums up this basket of the Cordyceps sinensis focused on more of the physical, the pomegranate focused more on the mental, and then the ginseng kind of wraps it all together.
And most people, you can feel ginseng immediately, right? Is it more of an immediate, where the cordyceps, again, like you said, that's like a 6-week run. Isn't ginseng a product that if you take, you feel immediately? Or am I just...
It's a good question.
I mean, I don't know.
Yes and no is the answer. Some people that are a little bit more sensitive to it.
I just think of ginseng teas and stuff, and so I'm assuming.
Sure. We're using 100 milligrams, which is toward the lower end of the range. Usually studies go about 100 to 400 milligrams.
Okay.
But it's still at that effective dose, but still a little bit milder in terms of the stimulating effects. We have a particular ginseng that's standardized to a ratio of RB1 to RG1. You asked, I know, I'm getting more technical here. But what I want to say is that the RB1 ginsenoside is a little bit more milder in its terms of helping you feel that vitality without kind of the overstimulating effect of traditional ginseng.
Good. That is great to know. Because I mean, again, this is the only ginseng that I take, but I see ginseng all over the place in energy products or teas or different things. So that is very important, I think, for people to understand that, again, the stimulant versus the genetic, I don't know, the long-term energy and, the benefit of these. Okay, so that is R² day. Why did we feel the need to 2 years later create a night version that we paired together instead of it just being like vitality and nighttime formula, which is another product we have? But why did we pair these two together in brand, in bundles? Like we did that.
It's a good question. So, and I do want to point out for our listeners that call the product R2, I'm going to call you out if you call it R2. It's called R² for a reason.
Did I call it R2?
No, you didn't.
Okay. All of a sudden,
I'm not calling you.
Did I just get called out?
I can't tell you how many trainings I've given, and they're like, "Hey, Tanner, tell me about R2," and I'm like, "You mean R²?" So, in mathematics,
I'm glad I said it right.
Right, the R², it's an exponent, right?
Right.
So what that means is 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 3. Right. So, in terms of science, things evolve.
Right.
So we first began this adventure looking at the source of aging, looking at, hey, a group of genes that impact mitochondria to support this physical vitality. That's going to be a great hit. But then as our science evolved, we continued to learn more about gene expression, right? We dug in more and learned more and came across these insights that cell purification or cell detoxification can help to amplify the benefits of cell energy. So it's kind of this spiral. It's a negative spiral where, look, if you're lacking that vitality, right, the cell detox and cell purification goes down. And it's this negative spiral that goes down. But on the flip side, if you can actually enhance that cellular energy, right, you need ATP for these detoxification processes to be able to do their job.
Okay.
And then when you detox and clean the inside of your cells, then guess what? Your mitochondria can produce more energy more efficiently. So it's R², not R2.
Okay. And the R² night is for cell purification.
Yes.
Right? And it has, we were talking about the ingredients in it a minute ago, and I don't have them memorized. I know broccoli's one.
Yes, good. But it's not just broccoli powder. It's a broccoli seed extract.
Okay.
So it's standardized to glucoraphanin, a key compound that gets converted by an enzyme called myrosinase to sulforaphane. It's important that everyone memorizes that.
I don't know how you keep all this in your head. It is phenomenal.
Do you see all my notes here in front of me?
There are no notes. It is all coming from Tanner's head, and it is very impressive.
So we have a broccoli seed extract. We have a grape seed extract that is standardized to high amounts of polyphenols, powerful antioxidants. And then we have a red orange extract. Different from your typical orange that is orange. The red orange actually has a bright red color to it because of some of the anthocyanins. So all three of these extracts are standardized to active components.
And are they phytonutrients? They're all food nutrients.
Yeah, they're all phytonutrients. They're all food-based.
But these ones aren't specific carotenoids, which is why this isn't PRISM certified.
Correct.
But they are still strong phytonutrients to do what they need to do.
Strong antioxidants, they're going to support that entire antioxidant network. When we talk about antioxidant science, there's no single magic antioxidant to focus on. It's the whole network. It's a whole team, right? If you're a soccer team, you can't just rely on one player to do the whole work of the team, right? They all work together.
I love that. Okay, so those ingredients are going to help. And I think you only take 2 of these at night. This one's not nearly as intense as the day formula because that one, I think it's 2, isn't it?
Yep, 2 per day. And the reason is you're still getting the effective dose of these ingredients based on our gene expression testing. So it's still about getting the effective dose. It just matters how much of each nutrient you need and how bulky the ingredient is to make up the entire formula.
Now, did we make it day and night? Like, do you have to take the night one at night? I mean, I take it at night because it's called night. Does it make you sleepy or anything? Or is it just that that's the best time for your cells to be renewing just because your body's naturally doing that? And that's why we're enhancing that process? Because it's not going to make you tired if you took it in the middle of the day, right?
No. In fact, if you take it in the middle of the day, it's still going to be beneficial.
Okay.
Right? But the rationale for taking it at night is that these detox processes, they get upregulated at nighttime. So when you go to sleep, right, you don't have the stress of the day, you don't have the energy of the day, right? Your body kind of goes into another gear to be able to detox and cleanse the waste products that have built up from the day. You have this glymphatic system where you're washing out some of the toxins inside of the brain as well. So it's just to amplify that cell detox, that cell purification. And I should point out here, this is very different from kind of a detox program, so to speak, or a colon cleanse. Yeah. Right? I mean, go do that if your doctor says.
Right?
Sure. But this is more of like cleaning the inside of your cells so that your cells can be efficient and act in a more youthful state. So I like to compare this to a kitchen. You have a kitchen, I have a kitchen. Yeah. And what happens over time is if you're not cleaning it efficiently, the dirty dishes, they stack up. And they pile up over and over and over again. And then your kitchen is less efficient over time, right? Right. And same thing inside of our cells. We have these waste products, we have toxins, we have inflammatory compounds, we have all of this stuff that builds up inside of our cells. And we need ingredients and processes to be able to support that cleansing inside of the cell. So it's not like a specific organ detox. This is more of kind of a full body cellular cleansing product that just makes the cells a little bit more efficient in what they do.
And again, your body's already doing that at night. So we're helping support. Our function is to be energized in the day and restore at night, just generally, right? That's our body's cycle.
Yeah. In other markets around the globe, we call it recharge and renew. Recharge and renew. We want to recharge our energy, right? Get those batteries going. And then renew is kind of let's renew our bodies at nighttime.
I love that. Okay. Let's see what other question. I haven't even been paying attention to my questions because I've been in science, in a 4,000 level science class here. This was not like easy science, Tanner. You took us to the next level and I am here for it. I liked it. I might not have understood all of it, but I am here for it.
Can I make a plug for the science really quick?
Yes, absolutely.
There are so many leaders out there who feel like they need to be a Tanner Gibb to sell the product. And let me just tell you, you don't. I just want you to know the science is there. Yeah. And to me, it's kind of like a bell curve, right? Of like, okay, you need to know enough about the product to be able to sell it, but you don't need to be at the 99th percentile in the Tanner Gibb level to be able to sell the product. It's more of just like, hey, knowing the science is there, that there's details behind the ingredients. These are high quality ingredients, high quality products, right? Selected based on gene expression, all the cool stuff we talked about. Right. But you can use it and feel a difference and know why it's there.
Yeah. And I love that. And I'm in the bell curve somewhere there. I know our products. I know the ingredients in them. I know my own personal experience with them. Like, I don't go a day without taking our supplements. I trust our science. I don't necessarily read the clinical bulletins, but it's because I've been here so long and I work with you and our other R&D and Joe Chang. Like, I'm lucky that I have my 99% science friends, but like, I can feel and tell a difference when I am on these products. And I'm aging. Gosh dang it. I don't want to be in my 50s. I don't want to be aging, but I am. And I don't want to act like I'm a 50-year-old. I want to run and act like a 30 to 40-year-old. Probably not going to be my 20-year-old self no matter what I do. But, I can feel a difference on these products. And that's what keeps people consistent on supplements, is that you feel a difference and they work, right? And I think that is so important for our listeners and our affiliates to understand for their customers, is people will be loyal to a product if they can see and feel a difference.
Exactly. But give it a few months.
Yes.
Right?
With this one especially. Some of our products you might feel immediately, but this one, you said 90 days.
Yeah, 90 days is my minimum recommendation. Yeah. And I've even had people take the product for a while and they're like, Tanner, I'm not feeling as big of a difference as I would hope. Most people do feel a big difference, but for the few people that I'm like, okay, well, go ahead and take a little break and see how you feel. And almost every time they come back to me and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize those subtle changes in my energy levels. They're like, hey, I was able to walk up the stairs and be a little bit less out of breath, or I was able to swim just a little bit longer. I was able to enjoy more time with my friends and my family, or my kids and my grandkids, or, whatever it was. And to me, when we study aging, we're going to age every single day. Right? In terms of just chronologically, that's what's going to happen. But your biological age, that's something you can do about, right? Yeah. With your diet, with your supplements, with your lifestyle, with your stress, with your sleep, all of these things. And people often don't realize how big of an impact they can have on the way that they age until they learn about this stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit into how this would work with our other stuff. So stacking this with like a multivitamin. Do you need both? Do I only need this? Does it work if I know the answer.
So what's the answer? Can you take LifePak with R squared? Absolutely. Yes. Good job. You passed the test.
But even though this has phytonutrients and stuff, and I want to we talked about antioxidants, and phytonutrients, will you see is this an indirect Prism product? Would you see a difference in your score? We were talking about lifestyle with eating and exercising. If this is helping me sleep better, which I know it doesn't necessarily sleep better, but maybe have better results from my recharge when I'm sleeping. Let's see if I can say that right. If I'm doing this, if my body is functioning properly, if I can exercise a little bit more, if I can do this would have an indirect impact through my Prism score, right? Like, it's going to help. Am I leading the witness?
You are leading the witness. No, you're good. Let's back up and answer the first question first and then get there.
Okay.
To Prism Lifestyle, because we have Prism certified products.
Yes.
Right? And I think a lot of our listeners know. And that's okay.
Yeah. Right.
But you asked first, right, can you take LifePak with this? And the answer is yes. When we look at our portfolio of supplements that we have, we look at how they complement one another, and we consider those things when we formulate. So LifePak is a product that I recommend for almost every human alive,
because it is a foundational product.
It's a foundational, right? So when you're building your house, you need a solid foundation. And to me, that's going to be a LifePak product to get those vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. And then AgeLOC Youth from an anti-aging perspective that we can talk about on another podcast.
Yeah.
But those are going to be kind of your foundation for the house. On top of that, we have these targeted pillars.
Okay.
These are targeted treatment supplements. AgeLOC R squared is one of those.
Okay.
So yes, would LifePak provide you a little bit of energy? Absolutely. It's going to have some B vitamins. It's going to have some antioxidants. It's going to support that foundational energy, but this is going to be a booster or a target on top of that. So I would say, hey, start with your LifePak, start with youth, and then build from there based on your needs, your wants, your desires, right? If physical energy and vitality is your thing that you're like, oh, I just need something to help with that, then absolutely add this product to it.
So that's your, like, this is the go-to. You're on your foundational products, Youth Life Pack. And then someone says like, look, I'm a marathon runner, or I'm a tired mom, or like, gosh, I can feel myself slowing down every day. You know, you don't have to be a marathon runner or a swimmer to utilize this, right? It could just be you feel yourself having less energy. Then this is that pillar that you add. Absolutely. And we do have a lot of very specific products that you then start adding on, even though this isn't Prism certified. Maybe this is that second product that I would go on because of my personal needs, and it's going to help my lifestyle, which should, again, make my health span longer anyway and help my Prism score because I'm having those indirect benefits. I know we don't guarantee it.
It's all relative, right? The good science answer is always yes and no, maybe, right? Because the thing is, when we talk about Prism, right, it's an incredible nutritional health device, right? It's going to measure a class of antioxidants that are abundantly found in fruits and vegetables.
Right.
So if nothing else, just leave with that and know that, hey, you can take this. We have so many supplements, but you can also change your diet, your lifestyle, your fitness. And we have an incredible scanner database of over 20 million scans. With a smaller handful of those, we've tracked a lot of data in terms of like, hey, these are the things that we see correlations with, right? Correlation isn't causation. That's why I'm hesitant with the answer.
No, I understand. Yeah.
But at the same time, we know that, hey, there are healthy lifestyle things that we can do, right? We can manage our stress. We can manage our sleep. We can manage our smoking, our alcohol use, right? Our sleep patterns. We can manage our fitness, our BMI, our body fat, right? These are things that we can work on in our lifestyle and our fitness to be able to indirectly influence our score when we know the direct influences are going to be with nutrition, with diet, with supplementation.
I love that. And the other thing I love, and I know you could over-index to carotenoids, let's say. You could put a carotenoid in every Pharmanex product that we have, just so that it's scanner certified. But we wouldn't do that because that's not the point of these two products, right? The specific antioxidants in this one, even though they're not carotenoids, and so, but they're still phytonutrients, but it's because of the benefit that this is doing. So we're not just stacking carotenoids in products so that it's scanner certified. We're creating products that meet a need for a consumer.
Exactly. I mean, could you put carotenoids in every supplement? Absolutely. Yeah. But when we formulate products, and in fact, you'll note if you read every label in every nutritional supplement, we don't have a single product with just carotenoids, right?
Right.
They're part of the antioxidant network, and they're placed in products where there is a need, a market need, right? A consumer need,
right?
But also a scientific rationale to support the entire health benefits of the product. And when it comes to R squared for the vitality and the night portion, right? When we screened our ingredients, these are the ones that came to the top of the list. And so we wanted to lead with science and make sure that, hey, this is going to be part of our portfolio. It's a fantastic product. It's been out since when we were very, very young. And for good reason, it still is one of the top sellers around the globe because of the benefits, because of how people feel. And it's really the science behind it that supports all of that.
I love that. And I hope our affiliates that are listening and consumers that are listening understand what's so important, Tanner, about what you just said, which is these products are formulated for a specific need, not just to increase your Prism score. They are there for such a specific need, and we're screening ingredients that scientifically show that this product is going to do what it says it's going to do, and not just adding additional things to make a product more expensive or more pills to take, right? If we threw things in, you're taking more pills, it's more expensive, just so that it could be scanner certified. No, we have scanner certified products because those specific carotenoids give specific benefits to each of those products that they're in. They're not just in there as a filler, if you will.
Just
right?
to fill it in and make everything Prism certified, right?
There's no carotenoid fillers for Prism certification.
Exactly. And we don't want to undermine the value of a Prism score.
Oh, a Prism score is so important to me.
I know, so many people know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're measuring a class of these antioxidants. Carotenoids are the best indicator of fruit and vegetable intake, which we know from thousands and thousands of observational, epidemiological, clinical studies that they're super critical for our health. They're also a good indicator of total antioxidant status.
Yeah.
Right? So looking at things like vitamin C, vitamin E, CoQ10, broccoli seed, right? We could go on and on about all the different antioxidants working in the network inside of the body. And we know that carotenoids as well, they're studied for so many different health benefits, touching your brain, right? Your eyes, your skin, your heart, your metabolism, so many different things. And so there's great value in these antioxidants, but we know that it's about the full spectrum of holistic health and wellness.
Right.
And using your PRISM score can actually help motivate people to make changes in improving their vitality, right? And improving their detoxification, these other factors that are contributing indirectly to that entire body of antioxidant protection, keeping our body safe and protected against free radicals, which in excess can contribute to oxidative stress, which we know is a bad thing. And we could talk about that forever.
And we need more of the good guys, antioxidants, and less of the things that cause oxidative stress and create free radicals in our body.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a balancing effect. And the thing is, you look at our modern lifestyle, we are exposed to greater amounts of free radicals and potential stressors in terms of oxidation than ever before. I mean, from all the pollution, the air that we're breathing, our own metabolism. I mean, the list goes on and on, right?
Yeah.
Health and wellness. And we need good antioxidant support. And you look at the data, we're not eating well. We're not eating healthy diets. We're not eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. Right. Hence, there's a great need to be able to take supplements to fill those gaps, provide good nutrients, but still be safe and effective for their desired purpose.
I love that. Tanner, this has been my 4,000 level podcast. Woohoo! It was good. We learned so much on this one about, again, I don't have a favorite product, but this is a top 3 Pharmanex product for me for sure. Top 3. Maybe my top 2. Youth and R squared are my top 2 products. There it is. You all know now. Don't tell anyone. And I just appreciate you taking this time with us. Like, this was so much fun. You guys, I could talk to Tanner all day about science, if you can't tell. Like, truly, like, I just appreciate you so much doing this. To our listeners, ask us questions. Let us know. I know you want to have Tanner on here again. We need to come talk about youth and maybe collagen. We have all sorts of things we can talk about. But any last words that you want to give our listeners as we say goodbye?
Yes, I always have a few last words.
Good.
I forgot to touch on some of the clinical work that we actually did with these products, which I think is critical to know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we were to just stop at the gene expression research, we could stop there and be like, okay, this is amazing. This is wonderful. People feel great. It's a success. But we also had a number of preclinical and clinical studies that actually support the benefits of the product. And so we had some preclinical studies looking at improved sparing of muscle glycogen, which is a storage form of energy.
Yeah.
We saw increased time on a treadmill, supporting that kind of vitality and energy benefit. And then in human clinical studies, we saw an improvement in RER, respiratory exchange ratio.
Okay.
I know we have too many acronyms for everything in science, but it's kind of this measure of the different type of fuel that you're using in the body.
Okay.
Fat versus glucose and other glucose forms inside of the body. And then we also had a pilot study looking at kind of the mental clarity acuity benefits, seeing some benefits above and beyond a placebo. So we have the clinical work as well to back up the science, the screening of ingredients, along with the literature to support all of these great things.
And we can put those in the podcast notes. We can reference these clinicals for any of you guys that want to read those, because touching on clinicals in 2.5 seconds, but that's the clip notes, you guys. Now you can read everything that you want. We'll put those links in here, but truly, like, our clinical, those are really impressive ones. And obviously my favorite is more time on a treadmill. Not because I would use that outdoor running, but also treadmill. But I love that we have a clinical that shows that people had a little more endurance in their energy. So I love that. So clinicals, you guys, not just gene expression, but clinicals on these products.
Exactly. We back up what we say.
I love it. And with that, thank you guys.